Good afternoon and welcome from a sunny Denmark. We're still on Jutland and we are racing the longest stage of this week, 231 kilometers. It's almost like a classic today. And yeah, the start, it was actually rather easy, but the big fun part starts right about now. Let's have a little look at the map of today's stage. We basically go from the west of Jutland to the east. Here we go. Stage starts just outside the fjords is rather flat. And then we have an intermediate sprint coming at 158 kilometers from the line. We pass Legoland there in Billund. We have this funny little loop around Egtved and then on our way again to Veje, where we have more local laps coming up, with the last ones being around 10 kilometers in Veje. Normally it's 90 kilometers between Ringkøbing and Veje, but yeah, we make it 231. This is earlier today, and it took a little bit of time before we established the breakaway, which was nice, but we ended up with these 7 riders at the front, with the lovely pink handlebars there for Coop Repsol. We have the man with number 1, Christian Ekholm. There we have the names Jasper de Jager, Halford Uttingen Zandstad, Michal Pomorski, Luc Verburg, Daniel Stampe, Emil Tudal. This was a crash by 3 of the riders of the Danish national team, and both Matthias Norsgaard here and also Johan Prijs Petersen had to abandon the race after that crash. And here we are live with stage 2 of the Tour of Denmark. We have a breakaway of 7 riders. Leading in that red jersey is Michal Pomorski, a 21-year rider from Poland. We also have Christian Ekholm, the man with number 1 for Lidl Trek Future Racing. We have Jasper de Jager of the Flanders Baloise team, Halford Uttingen Zandstad. This man here with 126 for Coop Repsol. This is Daniel Stampe. In the green, it's for Parkhotel Valkenburg, Luc Verburg. And Emil Tudal is the man in the blue jersey. No, Daniel Stampe is the man in the blue jersey, Emil Tudal in the stripes. This is the team of DSM Firmenich PostNL at the front. And we are on the hilly part of the circuit actually, with DSM Firmenich at the front with their leader, and we are wearing a blue jersey. The leader of the race is of course Tobias Lund Andresen. We also have a distinctive jersey for Johan Doresen. He's wearing the points jersey. That is Skoda Green. Then we have our best hill climber, and that is Jasper Ras. That is a polka dot jersey, the man from Parkhotel Valkenburg. And the best young rider jersey is a white jersey, and that one is worn by Tore Trulsen. Look at this glorious image. It's a beautiful day. It's fantastic weather for a bike race. No rain on the horizon, a little bit of wind, and it's a tailwind, a tail crosswind to be exact. The average speed so far around the 43 kilometer mark, as we are now making our way to the Veje Fjord. And that's where we're going to do all sorts of laps and loops and points and climbs. And yeah, the first climb is actually coming up in 15 kilometers from now. Nice little bit of collar blocking there at the front of the bunch with the DSM Firmenich team. We also have Tudor very active at the front. They're racing here, of course, with Arvid de Klein, but also Alexander Kamp, who has got good memories of the finale in Violet. He was second in one of the years that we finished here. And that, well, basically has been almost every year in the past 10 years. I'll give you some of the results a little bit later. 3 minutes now for our 7 leaders, the youngest being just 19, and the oldest 2 are Daniel Stampe and Emil Tudal, the 28-year-olds. Two riders had to abandon, sadly, Matthias Norsgaard and Johan Pryce Petersen. We just saw a brief recorded clip of a crash. 3 riders actually of the national team from Denmark. Also Kasper Andersen was involved in that crash, but he managed to continue on his way. But Matthias Norsgaard and Johan Pryce Petersen were not. And also didn't start today is Jared Drisnes, the Australian of the Lotto Destiny team. Good time trial yesterday by Lotto Destiny, and that brings Arnaud de Leet at just 3 seconds from the man there in the blue jersey. We've got 10, 6 and 4 seconds on the finish line. Tobias Lund, of course, a fantastic sprinter as well, so that is going to be exciting for the bunch sprints. Although that finale in Violet is not to be underestimated, trust me. We have we have exactly 50 kilometers of elevation, 50 meters of elevation to do in the final kilometer, 49 meters to be exact. So that is a 4.9 average gradient in the final, with the first 500 meters of that final kilometer being the trickier ones. I absolutely love how big the bib numbers are here in the Tour of Denmark. Makes life a lot easier for us as commentators. Local wildlife not particularly impressed there with the passage of this peloton. 129 riders left. Really enjoying this helicopter footage here of the peloton. Still got about just shy of 2 hours to go until we are in Violet. And with 3 minutes for our 7 leaders, everything seems to be completely under control. We have Niels Sinchek in the green of the Park Hotel Valkenburg team. They had a plan yesterday with that King of the Mountains, or the Hill competition as it's called here, sponsored by Novo Nordisk, to go full gas. It was a 300-meter climb, 1.3% average, basically a viaduct as we have here in the Netherlands. And they just did a lead out and made sure that Jesper Ras ended up in that green jersey. Team Cobra Repsol had the same ambition, with Karsten Veldman, of course, to honor their late teammate André Dreger. One of the reasons they also have the pink handlebar tape, as we can see here, with Halford Sandstad. They want to honor André and yeah, get that jersey, but the plan sadly didn't materialize for the team from Norway, but did for the team from the Netherlands, who also have Luc Verburg here in that first group. It's not quite often that Park Hotel Valkenburg, a third division team, gets the opportunity to race at the highest level. So they're just taking this opportunity with both hands and making the most of it. Today we do have 3 hill sprints categorized of the first category. And that means that there is a total of 36 points on offer for that polka dot jersey. And yeah, we have these in quick succession actually on some local laps just to the west of Violet. The first one comes 10 kilometers from now, and with a gap of still 3 minutes and 3, it looks very likely that our 7 riders in the breakaway are going for that jersey. And with 36 points on offer, it's a pretty solid foundation already if you want to, well, if you have ambition actually to make it all the way to the finish line on Sunday with that polka dot jersey. Here we are. They are gradually preparing for these hill sprints. This is the youngest of them all. His name is Halvor Uttingen Sandstad. He is 1 minute and 18 seconds down in the general classification. Comes from the region of Stavanger. Has some experience as well racing in Belgium as a junior, which is always good. His first year, of course, was 2022, his first junior year, and had a 4th place straight away in the road race. And well, there's always a lot of quality in the Norwegian peloton, so that is a good start to your career as a first year junior. In his 2nd year as a junior, a few wins in Belgium, for example, in these crit races. Was very good in the hills in Luxembourg. Our youngster in the breakaway, Halvor Sandstad, and yeah, makes his debut this year in the elite category. Did that with a crit race on roads all the way back in March. So interesting to see whether he will be going for these intermediate sprints. If you look at his results, yeah, there's a few good results already in his first year. But of course, there's other riders in that first group as well who will be pretty eager to go for that polka dot jersey. Another abandoned report. Frederik Bjorn Sørensen of the Airtox Carl Ras team has also abandoned the race. New team at the front, and that is of course the team of Magnus Kort. Magnus Kort, who already won 4 stages here in the Tour of Denmark, but the last time he actually did that was in 2016, so that is 8 years ago. There were podium places last year. There was a 3rd place in the GC. So yeah, with his form from the Arctic Race of Norway, he is one of the biggest favourites, and the team have decided to start the chase. These are the names. We've got 6 riders from Denmark and Andreas Leknesund, the Norwegian rider. Also a lot of TDT Unibet at the front. They also have 3 Danish riders here with Andreas Stockbro, Niklas Amdi Pedersen and Sebastian Nielsen. And Team UAE Emirates, of course, who thought they had won. Basically, we all thought they had won. But if you look at the results, it's actually pretty interesting because the results are split per rider. Then we see that Tobias Lund Andresen was the fastest, 19 hundredths of a second behind him, his teammate Johan Dorensen, and 31 hundredths of a second behind them. In 3rd place was Ivo Oliveira. Johan Dorensen, the man who finished in 2nd place yesterday, had a little bit of trouble there on that short but steep hill. Now the pace is going up. He's wearing the green jersey. The jersey belongs to Tobias Lund. Young rider's jersey also belongs to Tobias Lund, by the way. But that is won by the rider who is actually 4th in that classification. And that is Tore Trulsen of Team Coloquick. Lund is the leader. He wears the blue jersey. Dorensen wears the green jersey. Arnaud Delis is actually 3rd in that classification, but because he is the Belgian champion, that jersey trumps a borrowed jersey, what this one would be. So we end up with the number 4 in the best young rider classification, and that is the man from Denmark, Tore Trulsen. All of a sudden that time gap has dropped by almost a minute now. But look at the speed. You can see we have a little bit of tailwind action, a little bit of cross tailwind action. And yeah, this is also the man in that polka dot jersey, Jesper Ross. You can see there is a little bit of wind, and some of the teams managed to go for that. And if you look at how difficult it is to stay in the wheel, everybody is on the left-hand side of the peloton. We have echelons going on, but now the road is going the other way, and this might be the end of it. But we'll have other places where we can try and do something like this. Look at the flag there. Not really super windy, but they have done a little bit of damage. Arnaud de Lee, he was there in 7th position, first of his Lotto Destiny team, very active at the front. Here we have it, the first of our hill sprints. Pretty serious one straight away, and we'll get a good indication who of these 7 riders is going for it. This is really lovely, I like it. Such a steep little climb. The man in green, Luc Verburg, his teammate, Jesper Ras, is currently the leader in that classification. We saw that got dropped in the echelon action. On his wheel in the blue is Daniel Stampe. The Lidl Trek Future Racing Team rider is Christian Ekholm. The number 172 is Tudal. 126 in the blue of Corp Repsol Halvor Sandstad. And in the red jersey, Michal Pomorski. And in the yellow, blue and white for Flanders Baloise is Jesper de Jager. I would have, looking at the results, I think de Jager could be the favourite to take this sprint, judging from his previous results. But it's Luc Verburg, the former cyclocross rider, who is leading this group. Here we go, it's the man in the stripes, Team Coloquick, Emil Tudal, who is the first to sprint. And that looks like a convincing lead. Michal Pomorski in pursuit, Daniel Stampe as well. Motorbike is kind of stuck behind the riders, but it looks like the first points there, although they're still sprinting, so we're still not there at the actual sprint. And it's happening around the corner, and nobody knows what happened. It looks like the man with the referee stripes took that first sprint, and that is Tudal. 12 points for him. Peloton just a minute 48 behind. The next sprint is coming in 9 kilometers. And then we're going to do this one again at 54 kilometers. Here we are with the peloton on the Oostengard climb. And all of a sudden that gap is going down to a minute and a half. Next time we are back here is going to be in 16 kilometers. And at this pace, the peloton might have actually caught the 7 leaders. Only points for the first 3 across the line, so no points for the peloton, although they will probably not really be that interested. Our 3 leaders, well, the 3 riders who took the points on the Oostengard climb. Here we have confirmation: 12 points to Tudal, 8 to Pomorski, and 4 to Stampe. Here that moment again that he attacks. The man in red is Pomorski. The man in blue with 1:55 is Stampe. And De Jager and also Zandstad, they try. But it's the man for Team Colo Quick who gets it. Well, we still have to get a little bit down, then past the house. Almost missed that sprint. Well, we actually did miss the sprint. But now we are going for a little loop here. And the next one is called the Wintersvej. Vej, V-E-J, is the Danish word for road, so it's basically the Christian Winters road. This is where we have to go, to Vejle. But the first time we are going to cross the finish line is at 28 kilometers. So that is 40 kilometers from now. Looks like some of the groups managed to return, but since we are doing a lap here, we are returning to the exact same site where we had a little bit of echelon action. So hopefully it's going to happen again. Wind speed at about 20 kilometers an hour. You can see the leaves there. The man in the blue jersey well positioned at the front, Tobias Lund. And the entire team of UAE Emirates at the front. Today's finish actually, as I said, about 5% in the final kilometre, just a little bit under, is, in my opinion, absolutely perfect for the likes of Finn Fisher-Black. He comes from some grand form in the Vuelta a Burgos. So maybe not the name that would come to mind immediately, but the arrival in Vejle is not your typical sprint finale. 1:49 as we are making our way. Oh, we're making our way to the second climb of the day. Somebody on the bike path there trying to overtake them. This is Christian Ekholm, comes from a cycling family. His older brother was part of the Lidl Trek team for 2 seasons. But then stepped back to local level. Jakob Ekholm raced for the Airtox team. Not here, by the way, but his last race was actually in Estonia. A lot of DNFs for Jakob, and it makes me think that there might be some health issues there. I do hope you're okay, Jakob, and cheering on your little brother. Whoop, hard to evade the bike path here, I must say. 64.5 kilometers. There's Firmenich back at the helm, third place there for Tobias Lund. Yeah, it looks like Team UE wants a little bit of help there. We have Lukas Eriksson there. His brother, not here. He is, of course, the Swedish national champion. Arnaud Delit, very active at the front. Not quite possibly not the Tour de France he would have hoped. But give the boy a break, he's still quite young. But I haven't seen Arnaud Delit further than position number 10, 12 so far. Back to the front, please, because there we are going to sprint for the second hill sprint of the day. There we go. Ah, that's nice. Kilometre from here, you can see the sign on the left-hand side of the road. The man here in last position with 1:72, Emil Tudal. This is his 7th Tour of Denmark already. He got the 12 points the first time around, but there's another 12, 8 and 4 waiting. Now we are going to the Christian Winters Way. Christian Winter, a Danish poet, actually, who lived in the 19th century, was born at the end of the 18th century, but lived mostly in the 19th century, and he is the man after whom this road was named. A lovely 10% average. Imagine having your paper round here. That's pretty clear. That there we go. Whew. That is pretty steep. I don't really know if it is a good idea actually to send a pro peloton, including the entire convoy up this road. But it's pretty clear that Emil Tudal knows his way around here. Currently, it's Daniel Stampe leading the way. He's got 4 points the first time around. This is really, really steep. It's short. It's really short. It's just 700 meters, but it looks like Daniel Stampe is in pole position. But yet again, there is no sign just yet. We still have a little while to go. Of course, the camera bike has to stay behind these riders here, behind Pomorski and Ekholm. See if we can still move up so we can see who takes the points. The sign must be just around there. It's still the man in blue leading. There is a blue sign, I think, on the horizon. And it looks like Daniel Stampe is on his way to the 12 points. Jasper de Jager still here. And also the man who took 12 points, Emil Tudal. The Danish riders, there we have it. There is the sign for the Novo Nordisk Hill Sprint. And the points go to Daniel Stampe. But the peloton is also here, and well, if they would have done a little bit of a recon, they know that you have to be at the front here. But look at this. This is maybe just a little bit too narrow for a pro peloton. There we have it. It's a bit like that steep hill that we had in the gravel stage from Troyes, stage 9 in the Tour de France, where everybody came to a standstill. Or doing the Koppenberg in the Flanders Classic Sportif. We also have one of the service cars here completely blocking the road. Yeah, this is something for the evaluation that, yeah, this is not great. This is absolutely not great. We're picking up some of the riders from our breakaway here with Luc Verburg, the cyclocross rider who was an absolute top rider in the junior ranks. And one of the riders who does train a lot with Mathieu van der Poel, actually, who announced that he's coming back next week or the week after, I think the week after, last week of August, in the Renewed Tour. In his rainbow jersey, in Belgium. That's going to be fun. But yeah, this was not a great decision. Yeah, this is brilliant. Cameron Rogers, you go, guy. You go. I love it. Aussie, Aussie. Back to the bike racing at the front with Mikkel Bjerke leading. There's a lot of riders are actually behind right now due to the complete block of the road there on the Christian Winters way. But Mikkel Bjerke currently leading here. And these three riders are the only one left of our breakaway. Or I think the man of the Colloquet team, Emil Tudal, should be here somewhere. Yep, this is confirmation. So Emil Tudal is currently at 20 and Daniel Stampe is at 16 points for that polka dot jersey. It's all rather chaotic at the moment, I must tell you, but as you can hear from my voice, I'm enjoying it. Van der Broek, runner-up from the opening stage in the Tour de France. Stage 1 in Italy, and we have a first, well, attack. One of riders of the TDT team, not entirely sure, might be Kopecki. No, it's not.
zal nou niet laag in zitten.
We're on that same open stretch of road right now where we have a cross tailwind, and that is actually only adding to the chaos that we've already seen on these local laps. We're going back to the Ostengard climb yet again. That will be in 4 kilometers from now, and then we are making our way to Violet. Welcome to the Tour of Denmark Stage 2. We raced from Ringkøbing and we're making our way to Vejle. Jelte Krijnse, sadly a flat for him, and the situation at the moment is rather chaotic. We did have a breakaway of 7 riders. I'll try to give you a little summary of what happened in this really long stage, 231 kilometers, basically from the west of Jutland to the east of Jutland to the fjord at Vejle. We had a breakaway of 7 with Christian Ekholm for Denmark, Daniel Stampe, Emil Toudal, all representing Denmark, Jasper de Jager, the Belgian rider for Wanty, Halvor Untingen Stansstad, Norwegian rider for Coop Repsol, Michal Pomorski, Polish rider for Mazovsje, Luc Verburg, Dutch rider for Park Hotel Valkenburg. Maximum gap that they had was 5 kilometers. Then we had our first hill sprint that came at 71 kilometers, and that was won by Toudal, the man that we see in this group here. The second hill sprint basically caused the chaos that we find ourselves in right now, because at the Christian Winters Road, which was incredibly narrow, about 1 team car wide, the first riders went through, the breakaway went through, fell apart down to 3 riders only. And then the first part of the peloton went through and the rest were, on foot, basically. Just like a Koppenberg in the Flanders Classics, in the Tour of Flanders Sportief, or that hill that we had at the start of one of the gravel sectors in stage 9 of the Tour de France. We have a very active Team UAE Emirates, very active DSM Firmenich PostNL. They have the race leader, Tobias Lund, that is a blue jersey in this race. The green jersey is on the shoulders of Johan Dorissen. He got dropped a long while ago when we had a little bit of echelon action going on. The king of the mountains was Jesper Ross. He also got dropped a little while ago. And the best young rider is Tore Trulsen of Team Colo Quick. Back to the front, where 3 of the riders of the original breakaway remain. Here for the Lidl Trek Future Racing Team, Christian Ekholm, the 20-year-old. On his wheel, Jasper de Jager, the 23-year-old. For Flanders Baloise. He was part of Intermarché development, but he's part of Flanders Baloise now. And in the third wheel, in the blue, is Daniel Stampe. After 2 of the hill sprints, the situation is that Emil Tudal has got 20 points, and Daniel Stampe, the man in this group, has got himself 16 points. Tudal drops from this group, so he will not get any points because there's points for the first 3 only. So it looks like Daniel Stampe, the 28-year-old for the Airtox Carl Ras team, is going for the polka dot jersey. But there's also a lot of action happening in the bunch. One of the riders of Alpecin de Koning, we just saw a little counter group with the likes of Andreas Leknesund, Frank van der Broek. It's been rather chaotic here on a local lap as there's more riders on foot. There's been a little crash here as well with Luca Kulnagi. We had team cars blocking the road there on the Christian Winterway. If you want to check that out, we all broadcasted it on our digital channels. If you're joining us now on Linear, just to have a look back because it's been rather spectacular so far. I'll briefly introduce myself because people sometimes do wonder. My name is José Been. I'm on my own this week on the Tour of Denmark, so please keep me company. I am on social media on both Twitter and on Threads, a medium that I use more and more for obvious reasons. JOSEBEEN TV. So join me there if you have any questions. I'll try to answer them if we have the time. I think most of you will probably still be recovering from everything that happened in the Tour de France Femmes. I'm also still kind of just reeling from it. But we have a fantastic final here. We're making our way to Violet. It's a place that you might remember from the Tour de France start 2 years ago. We had the start of stage 2, I think, here. A stage that was won by Dylan Groenewegen. But last year we also had a finish here, and that stage was won by Matthias Skelmose ahead of Mess Pedersen and Magnus Kort. That was the podium also in a different order because Mess Pedersen won the overall. Neither Skelmose, who's off to the Vuelta, nor Mess Pedersen, who's off to the Tour of Germany, are here, but Magnus Kort is. Fantastic form coming from the Arctic Race of Norway. And it's a tricky final. The first time we will be there is at 28.9 kilometers. We are going to leave this circuit now and then go to the east for a little short while. We have a cross tailwind of about 20 kilometers an hour today, and that already caused a little bit of echelon chaos. And yeah, it's hard to get an overview really of who's where. If you did watch the stage yesterday, I will give you the results because it was rather, complicated yesterday. But Tobias Lund Andresen was the first across the line. This is the confirmation of that mountain sprint. Interesting enough, Stampe is not really going for it. He took just 4 points here. He is now the leader, but yeah, remarkable. Results yesterday, Tobias Lund won in 14:31, then 1900ths of a second his teammate Johan Doresen, but in third place was a rider from Team UAE Emirates, Ivo Oliveira, at 3100ths of a second. At 3400ths of a second, another rider for DSM, Frank van der Broek, and then at 7100ths, Finn Fischer-Black, Mikkel Bjerg at 77, and Sjoerd Baks, so 3 riders for UAE Emirates, all within a second of the leader. But the fastest rider was a rider from Team DSM Firmenich PostNL. It was not a team trial in the sense that the time of the third or fourth rider across the line counted. That made it all really, really complicated. But that was the situation. In the blue leader's jersey is Tobias Lund. And I'm trying to spot him there in that first group. Everything is actually still close together because Arnaud De Lie also just lost 3 seconds. And with 10, 6 and 4 seconds on the line, there's a lot possible actually. But the finish line in violet, Arnaud De Lie yet again at the front of the bunch here. I haven't seen him in any other position than about 8th to 10th. The finish line here, the final kilometer starts at 14 meters above sea level, the finish at 63, so that makes an elevation of 49 in that final kilometer. The first 200 meters are actually a descent, so it's about an average of 6% that final kilometer, that final 800 meters, but it gets steeper towards the final, touching on about 9%. Don't worry, we'll see it in 23 kilometers from now. It's not easy for the sprinters, I'll tell you that. So please, stay with me. And we've got another 52 kilometers to go. It's going to be a pretty exciting finale of this super long stage. Here we have Mikkel Bjerg again. Mikkel Bjerg, of course, also really good in that time trial yesterday. Also finishing within a second of the man now in third position, Tobias Lund. He is going to get involved himself. Florian Vermeers, also just 3 seconds down. We see him there in the colours of Lotto Destiny. The man is going to join Team UAE Emirates. Another rider I do rate highly on today's finale is actually Finn Fisher-Black. He's also still in that group, also within that second yesterday of Tobias Lund. So with 10, 6 and 4 seconds, and always gaps on the final kilometer in violet. Yeah, who knows who's going to actually be wearing the blue jersey. And since I'm commentating on my own, I should not be saying actually all that much. Since I'm commentating on my own, I do not have Brian to fall back on to do the math for me. Matteo Trentin joining there as well. Looks like Jasper de Buist, Magnus Kort, all the big hitters are already out there. And we still have 50 kilometers to go. This is the point where we had the echelon action, and it's happening again. It's a tailwind, cross tailwind. Ideal circumstances for echelons, as you know, 20 kilometers an hour. So that's about 15 miles an hour, something like that. 14? Nah, 13. Matteo Trentin, very good in the Tour of Wallonia. Stage win there. Magnus Kort, of course, a stage win and the overall in the Arctic Race of Norway. Mikkel Bjerg, Norsgaard, his wife is currently racing the Tour de France Femmes. Trying to see who that rider for Alpecin de Koning is. It might actually be Søren Kragh Andersen. We'll have confirmation soon. Look at the Danish flag there. It's a headwind here, so it was a very brief cross tailwind for us to enjoy. But we are exiting this circuit right now, and we are now making our way to Violet. Violet, the birthplace of Tony Rominger. Tony Rominger. You might be surprised because Tony Rominger was. Yeah, he was of course Swiss, as you might know, but he was actually born in Violet. His mother was Danish, his father was Swiss. Turned pro when he was 25. Tony Rominger won the Vuelta twice and came second, of course, in the Tour de France in 1993. And that was only a few weeks after Vuelta, that in those years took place in April and May. In the 1993 Tour de France, Rominger won 3 stages in the Alps and a 48-kilometer long time trial. Imagine that, having a 48-kilometer time trial in this day and age. He did take a lot of time on Miguel Indurain, but Indurain did win his 5th Tour de France that year. So Violet, the birthplace of Tony Rominger. I bet you didn't know that one. Or you might have if you read my piece on Escape Collective in 2022, or listened to the podcast, because I told you this there. It's always good to recycle some stuff. Sadly, we also had some crashes quite early on in the stage. 3 of the riders of the Danish national team crashed. Kasper Andersen of Hagens Bouwman Jayco managed to continue, but Matthias Norsgaard, the rider of Movistar, and Johan Pryce Peterson, normally racing for Bahrain Victorious, both had to abandon. Jared Drisners, the Australian, didn't take the start. And we also had a Danish rider of Airtox, Carl Ras, abandon with Frederik Bjørn Sørensen. Yeah, that way. I think taking a left turn there. No, we're not doing gravel today. Although gravel racing in Denmark is really cool. It's flat, which suits me. I did, not to brag, but I did 84 kilometers this morning. And I had the grand total of 42 meters of elevation. So yes, I do not do mountains, but gravel is big here in Scandinavia. I think Jonas Ricard was the man who actually won here in early July, something like that, early June that should be, because he was in the Tour de France. But there was a gravel race here. Okay, we have Magnus Kort there with number 40. We have the man from Tudor, Matteo Trentin, Anders Voldager, Jenno Bergmoes, Mikkel Bjerg, Mikkel Norsgaard Bjerg, I should say, Frank van der Broek. Anders Voldager, he is racing in the colours of the Danish national team. You can see his bike, a giant bike. He's normally part of Jayco Alula. And 2 riders for DSM Firmenich PostNL, with Sean Flynn and Frank van der Broek. So our race leader is not there. He's not that far behind. And if Brian were here, we would absolutely have Spot the Scots, because Sean Flynn is, of course, Scottish. Very much so. This is that part of Denmark where we actually, there we go, where we have elevation. I think the next time I say actually, I'm just going to give 50 cents to a charity, because it's becoming one of those words that you're not completely aware of yourself as a commentator. But if you listen back, it's like, yeah, I say that word too much. Yeah, this is the wrong way. Yep. Maybe somebody did nick that error. This is a stage that is becoming more chaotic by the minute. Okay, they're still in the lead despite a little mishap in the direction. Christian Ekholm, the 20-year-old from Denmark, his older brother Jakob Ekholm was actually a pro with Trek Segafredo back in the day. Sadly, I saw on Procycling Stats a lot of DNFs for Jakob. I do hope he's okay. He's a lovely guy, the older brother here of Christian Ekholm. The man for Flanders Baloise is Jasper de Jager. He's 23. And the man in the middle in that blue jersey, in the middle, not in the mirror, as Michael Jackson sang. The man in the middle is Daniel Stampe. Chasers here with Anders Voldager, the two riders for DSM, with Frank van der Broek and Sean Flynn. This is Michael Gogol. And they're really not that far. That one didn't count. They're really not that far behind. So it looks like we are going towards a breakaway of, or first group of 11 riders. The peloton is also there. Looks like with about an hour to race, we're going back to a situation with a rather large peloton. Absolutely not the 128 riders still left in the race. There's a lot of riders still behind. But it looks like before we get to Violet, things are coming back together. This is what's left of the peloton. What is this? 30 odd riders, something like that. At the moment, this group with Magnus Kort, Anders Voldager, Frank van der Broek, Sean Flynn, Michael Gogol, Mikkel Bjerg, who would really like a beer here. Matteo Trentin, they caught the three remaining riders of our original breakaway, with Stampe, with Ekholm and with Jasper de Jager. But look at the distance, the peloton, or what's left of it, is not that far behind. A bottle for Mikkel Bjerg, Mikkel Norsgaard Bjerg. His brother-in-law sadly had to abandon the race after a crash. Matthias Norsgaard, of course. .44 kilometers an hour average gets us to a finish at the fastest schedule, so that's about 5:45 in Violet. 39 seconds. There's a lot of cars behind this group for a gap of only 40 odd seconds. If you are wondering what happened with the signs on the side of the road, I was following the Tour de France Femmes on day 1 and day 2, so directly after the finish of the race. Hopped in my car, followed the broom wagon, and there's a few cars as both Ekholm, this looks like a cramp here. Problems with his cleats. I think it's cramped there for Ekholm. There's a few fans following the race convoy in the Tour de France Femmes, in all these kind of races, but in the Tour de France and Tour de France Femmes, they are racing, or they're driving straight behind the broom wagon. And they are picking up these signs, so they're not left overnight, and you have to be really, really quick if you want to get one for yourself. Tobias Lund, yeah, our race leader, first across the line yesterday. He's going to lose that blue jersey, that's for sure. Best ranked rider in this first group is Frank van der Broek, the winner of the Tour of Turkey. So to complete that story, they are, these vans are riding shotgun behind the broom wagon, picking up the signs, picking up the cushions to protect some of the traffic furniture, throw them in the back of the van and use them again on the next day. If you're lucky, you can get yourself one, although in essence it is theft. That's why they are so quick to pick them up, because if they had to buy new signs each and every day for every stage, that would be rather expensive. Tomasz Kopecki, he was on the attack a little while ago here with number 97. But back to our first group. That is what we know for sure. This is our leader group with 9 riders. Anders Voldager, Danish rider, just 5 seconds down in GC. On this man, he is the virtual leader, Frank van der Broek. Magnus Kort, 7 seconds down in the GC. Mikkel Bjerg is a second down. You know, Bergmoes, the rider there for Lotto Destiny, 3 seconds. That is all within that margin of the bonus seconds on the line, 10, 6 and 4. We did have some bonus seconds after 80 kilometers when our breakaway was already established. Those seconds went to Luc Verburg, Michal Pomorski and Daniel Stampe, 3 of the riders of our 7-man breakaway. Okay, breathe in, my dear friends. It seems that it's settling down a little bit with 40 kilometers to go. Finally getting a little bit of an idea of what is happening in this race. 9 leaders. The peloton, or what's left of it, just a few seconds down. We do know that our leader in the general classification, Tobias Lund, is dropped. And 7 kilometers from now, we are going to we're going to enter the local circuit, and the first time we cross the finish line is at 28.9 kilometers. These roads not particularly great to overtake that first group. Yeah, you can hear the cameraman there also uttering a few minor swear words. Not really a swear word. Tjonge, jonge, jonge is what he said. It's not really a swear word in Dutch. We have worse. I guarantee you that. But that group is really close. And we saw a couple of kilometers ago, there were so many cars. Is that a flat tyre here? Yep, looks like a flat tyre here for Frank van der Broek, our virtual leader. This is really unfortunate. He was the 4th across the line yesterday in terms of time. This might be the difference between taking that leader jersey and yeah, really unfortunate here for Frank van der Broek. We've seen quite a few flat tyres already. So our first group is now down to 8. Here we have confirmation. Magnus Kort, Sean Flynn, Michael Gogard, Mikkel Norsgaard, Bjerg, Jenno Bergmoes, Jasper de Jager, Matteo Trentin en Anders Voldager. Sean Flynn, of course, still another rider for the DSM Firmenich team at the front, but Sean didn't finish with the first 3. He's 36 seconds down in GC. So our virtual leader in that first group is now Mikkel Norsgaard Bjerg, the man that we see at the front. Whoa! And there goes Mikkel Bjerg in a ditch. Quick communication there. Hopefully he's okay. We saw yesterday Nicolas de Beaumarchais in the Tour of Poland with a nasty crash. Luckily, he is relatively okay, but oof, probably going to see a repeat of that. But looked like he hit a pothole or something like that. His front wheel blocked. Yeah, just off-road. Yeah, looks like a soft landing there for Mikkel Bjerg. But yeah, that was our virtual leader, and now we've lost him as well. So we go to Anders Jenno Bergmoes now as our virtual leader, the man from Lotto Destiny. What a scenario. I thought, well, I'm doing 2 hours of solo commentary today. I've got a whole range of facts prepared for you. This is Jasper de Jager also trying to get back up. What is happening today? He also overcooked that turn. Wow. No, this is not Jasper de Jager, he's still there. It was one of his teammates. And more people in that dish. This is Christian Ekholm. He looks to be... What's there? Is that an oil trace on the road or something like that? That was a third rider going down in that same corner that we saw. Mikkel Bjerg was one, Christian Ekholm the other, and a rider for Flanders Baloise. Like I said, I had a whole range of things prepared for you because 2 hours of solo commentary is a bit of a challenge. But I don't think I'll even get to the bog bodies with this race today. And yes, you did hear that correctly. I had all sorts of things prepared about bog bodies. No lie. Here we have Arnaud Delis. Arnaud Delis just 3 seconds behind the race leader earlier this morning. Arnaud Delis, the Belgian national champion. Stunning bike that Orbea made there as well for the Belgian national champion. This might be one of these efforts that you think, okay, Arnaud, maybe do not. But who's racing in that second group? Obviously the Koning is coming across. We have one of the riders of Novo Nordisk. That is great to see. Might be Matthias Kopecki, one of the best riders there of the team. First race back for Arnaud Delis since the Tour de France. His best result there was a third place twice. Once in the stage in Torino and once in the stage to Colombey Les Deux Églises. A few top 10 places for Arnaud Delis. He is on the roster for the Renewy Tour, which starts at the end of August, and then off to Canada to defend his title there. He won the Grand Prix Cycliste de Québec, his first World Tour win in his career. 23 wins already for Arnaud Delis. This might be one of these efforts that you think, should you really be doing this? Maybe ask some help. There are other Lotto Destiny riders there. And I think he's going to wait. Q36.5 coming across here. If you look in the distance, the jersey actually looks rather similar to Novo Nordisk, especially with these helmets, but I think, well, there is one Novo Nordisk rider there. But this is our first group. Michael Gogol leading. We have Sean Flynn there, Matteo Trentin, Jenno Bergmoes, Anders Voldager, Magnus Kort, and really good effort there by Jasper de Jager, because he is the one remaining rider from the original breakaway of 7. Yeah, if you look at the recent edition of the Tour of Wallonia, this is a typical Matteo Trentin finish. But with 34 kilometers to go, peloton at 36 seconds. 3 laps on that local circuit around Violet. Still a lot that can happen. Going to look back at last year when we also had a long stage here in Violet, 209 kilometers. And we had the 2 teammates here with Mads Pedersen and with Danish national champion Mathias Skelmose. And this is that finale. It's the same. We've been doing this finale in Violet for quite a few years. Mads Pedersen on the big ring there couldn't follow his teammate. And that meant that Mathias Skelmose was going to be the winner here in the streets of Violet. Also taking the leader's jersey. It was a great win, of course, for the Danish national champion. Stage 3, that was. Taking the GC, 10 seconds on his teammate Mads Pedersen. And Magnus Kort was actually third on this finish, but that was 43 seconds down. But fantastic tandem time trial, duo time trial for Mads Pedersen and Mathias Skelmose. Last year, on the final stage, the time trial in Helsingør, 16 kilometers, it was Mads Pedersen overtaking his teammate Mathias Skelmose to win the overall. You think I have time to tell you a story about a bog body? Very quick one, maybe? Okay, please riders, do not do anything funny. I'm going to tell a history story. It was a woman who lived 2,500 years ago. She's on display in the museum here in Violet. Until 2018 she was actually in a church, but 4 years ago, now 6 years ago, she was moved to the Cultural Museum. And a bog body is actually a body that is fantastically preserved due to the anaerobic conditions and acids of a peat bog. You have Boksenman, for example, Meisje van Ide in Drenthe, in the Netherlands, where I'm from. And yeah, the skeleton was completely intact. She still had hair, she still had skin, the internal organ. She was about 150 tall, so that's about 4 feet 11, about 40 years of age. And yeah, archaeologists say that it was quite common 2,500 years ago to burn bodies. So the woman of Haraldskjær, as she's known, because that is where she was found, was pinned to the ground. If there's children listening, maybe cover their ears. She was actually pinned to the ground with wooden stakes covered with branches, and that makes archaeologists think that she was a ritual sacrifice or ritual murder. But her body can be seen in the museum there, the Haraldskjær woman. So that is your story about the bog body. I did promise you on social media, on Threads and on Twitter, that I was going to tell you that story. So we're on the circuit, and we are making our way to the finish. Then we'll get a first glimpse of what that finale is like. We saw that replay of last year. That was already pretty helpful. .46 seconds right now. And one of the characteristics here of this lovely finale in Violet is that there's always so many people out there to watch this race. I'll give you a few of the winners in recent years, since I did prepare something for this. 2022, Christophe Laporte ahead of Magnus Sheffield and Mathias Skelmose. 2021, Remco Evenepoel, that was when he almost lapped the field, I think, that year. 2019, Lasse Norman Hansen, now Lasse Norman Let. 2018, Wout van Aert won here. 2017, Mads Pedersen. 2016, Michael Valgren. 2013 and 2015 it was Matti Breschel, and 10 years ago Manuele Boaro. But this finish here in Vejle on the centre east of Jutland is a regular feature. This is that final kilometre. First we're going to do 200 meters of a descent, and then we hit the steeper slopes. On the Kiddersweg, there we go. A little bit wider than the Christian Winterweg, where we had that chaotic scene. But this is not a typical sprint finish. The sprint stages here in the Tour of Denmark are actually the final two and not the first two. "51,000 people living here in Vejle." We see a few Danes in this first group. Leading is Anders Foldager, and in the colours of UNO-X it's Magnus Cort. We have a Scot in Sean Flynn, an Italian in Matteo Trentin, a Belgian in Jasper de Jager, and Jenno Bergmoes, the rider there for Lotto Destiny, and Michael Gogol from Austria in second place. Jasper de Jager, the man from Flanders Baloise, part of that original breakaway. It took a little while for the breakaway to form this morning, because we had 231 kilometers to go. So yeah, we're now passing that 200 kilometer mark, and to see that Jasper de Jager is still out there is a great effort there from the young Belgian. Magnus Cort, third in this finale last year. He's already got quite a few stage wins. The man's leading this group all the way back in 2013. Do not exaggerate. He won his first stage and his second one, stage 1 and 4 for Magnus Cort. But the last stage that Moustache Man won was actually in 2016. There have been a few podium places. He was third in GC last year as well, but his last win was in 2016. There's Jelle Johanning. We know him by now. The king of the mountains of the Arctic race of Norway. There's no points here, Jelle, nor there is salmon here. Yeah, what's going to happen in the peloton? We do have Arno de Lis still in that group. He tried. Jelle Johanning tries to bridge across, but it is likely that our winner is in that first group of 7. And that makes it even more painful for Frank van der Broek. There he is, crossing the bottom of our screen here. And also Frank van der Broek dropped out of this group with a flat tyre. And Nicole Bjerg, who literally crashed out of this group. And that makes the man in red for Lotto Destiny our virtual leader. Matteo Trentin, some company next year on the Tudor Pro Cycling team. Mark Hirschi was announced, was the winner of the Classica San Sebastian. Also Fabian Lienhard. Mark Hirschi from Team UAE, Lienhard from Groupama FDG. 26 names already on the roster for next year. There is some talk about Julian Alaphilippe. I don't think that is going to happen. Rumours are that he signed a 3-year contract, going to leave the structure that he started his career in with Patrick Lefevre, and he's going to start anew, the runner-up of the Classica San Sebastian. Wonder where he will end up, whether that is going to be a French team or maybe Tudor. I don't think it's likely, but you never know. Specialized might be interested in joining him. Fantastic ambassador, and it was really lovely to see Saturday in the Classica San Sebastian that Julian Alaphilippe was back to his old self. He attacked quite a few times, one on Erleitz, which was the penultimate climb. It's where Remco Evenepoel placed his attack last year. And he was also one of the attackers on the ridiculously steep Pilotegi climb. And in the end, it was a sprint with two. And Mark Hirschi won that ahead of Alaphilippe, Lennart van Eetveld, joining them on the podium. A wonderful edition of the Classica San Sebastian this year. So Alaphilippe, he's moving on to new pastures. 26 riders already on the roster for Fabio Cancellara's team, with Mark Hirschi going for his own opportunities. Also on the team next year is a super exciting rider. He joined them just last month, Mathys Rondel. If you look at his results, he's only 20, the Frenchman, and yeah, one of the biggest talents that France has at the moment. And it is difficult because the French teams, especially Groupama FDJ, are losing quite a few of their talents. With Lenny Martinez, of course, being one of the biggest losses, going to the Bahrain Victorious team. Has to do with the inequality in budgets. We must be very honest about that. But Mathys Rondel, yeah, he started his career in the under-23 structure of Tudor. Do remember his name. He's a talented young man. One of the rides that he won is the All Nations Cup, under-23 Nations Cup. But he's not here, Mathys Rondel. So we're going to continue with another story. This is a group led at the moment by Thomas Kopecky. We see Mikkel Bjerg is back on his feet. Luckily, Jasper de Buys there in second position. Just going to recognize a few of the faces here. 53 seconds down. Here we have Julius Johansson leading this group across the line there with the bright yellow helmet. But back to our breakaway, or our leading group. Wind has died down just a little bit. We're up at the 15-16 kilometer an hour marks. For those of you watching in the US on maps, that is about 10 miles an hour. We're racing on Jutland, the first two stages, and making our way to the other islands of Denmark. For the other days, Denmark of course has a gazillion islands, but the main islands are Funen and Zeeland. Zeeland is where the capital is, but I'll tell you more about that. 400 islands. I was exaggerating. 400 smaller islands here in the Kingdom of Denmark. Queen Margrethe, who was one of the longest reigning monarchs in the world, abdicated quite suddenly. Well, she's well into her 80s, but quite suddenly in January of this year, and her son Christian took over. He's of course married to the Australian Mary Donaldson. The pair met at the Olympic Games in 2000. Christian is, by the way, their son. It's Frederik, who is now the King of Denmark. And he's 19. So technically, he could become king, but since Frederik has only just started, just let him be king for a while. I saw him at the start of the Tour de France. He was handing out the yellow jersey and the white jersey, the white jersey 2 years ago. to still back then Tadej Pogačar, the podium in Copenhagen. Big fan of sports, is the king of Denmark, by the way. 44 seconds, yeah, since Mikkel Bjerg dropped from that breakaway. Luckily he is back on the bike and didn't look too harmed. He's in 4th position here. Team UE Emirates are going to the front and try to bridge across here. Yeah, Jasper de Jager, he's not taking over. Can you blame him? The 23-year-old from Belgium was part of the original breakaway. And yeah, with many continental teams here, so 3rd division teams, there's actually 50 cents to the charity pot. There are quite a few riders who haven't really done 200 plus in race situations. Moving towards Violet again. 19.3 kilometers is when we cross the finish line yet again. The town of Violet was first mentioned in the history books in 1256. Got its city rights, which were hugely important to trade in 1327. That was about 50 years after Amsterdam did, and really knew a rapid rise, economic rise in the Middle Ages. It was not part of the Hansa League. A lot of Scandinavian towns and also places like Zwolle, Zutphen in the Netherlands were part of the Hansa League, which traded mostly in grain, in wood. A lot of people think that a lot of the wealth from the Dutch comes from trading with the East Indies. But yeah, a lot comes from the Hansa League and wood to build ships. Also in the Industrial Revolution, so we're talking 19th century, of course, they grew because it was a centre for cotton and textile, and because there were so many cotton mills here in Vejle, it was nicknamed the Manchester of Denmark. Now about 51,000 people live in Vejle. One of his most famous is Tony Rominger, who was born here. He's got a Danish mum, Swiss father. And a whole bunch of football players that I do not know were also born here. 36 seconds. Yeah, the fact that Team UE Emirates are now racing is going to be decisive. Frank van der Broek, Mikkel Bjerg, who were originally part of this group of 9, were the best placed. Now that goes for Jenno Bergmoes. We saw that Arnaud de Lee did an effort to bridge across. Not super smart, in my opinion. He quickly saw that was not the way forward and dropped back to that group, but he still has got a chance. But we are approaching the final kilometre of this circuit right now. I don't think this is the kind of finale that Arnaud de Lee can do, especially with 9% in the final 400 metres. Back on the Kiddersweg, which is our finish streets. 34 seconds When we cross the finish line and have our Finnish cameras there, we'll see if it's still Team UAE Emirates leading. Looks like Sjoerd Baks and Domen Novak are still in that group. Ivo Oliveira possibly as well. We'll get a better overview when we get there. This is what is left of the peloton. With a very active Tomasz Kopecki. I really tip my hat to Jasper de Jager here. And here's a good overview who was still there. Indeed, Sjoerd Baks was still there with a very short view there, but now the motorbikes are moving up as well. 29 seconds. We still have to do this lap twice. Yeah, this is going to be incredibly difficult to stay ahead for Jasper de Jager, Matteo Trentin, Anders Voldager, Sean Flynn, Magnus Kort, Jenno Bergmoes and Michael Gogel. Now, what is Magnus Kort going to do right now? He is, of course, a man on a mission. He won the Arctic Race of Norway, which is nice because he is going to relocate to Norway. His girlfriend or his wife has got a job in Bordeaux, but he's, of course, Danish. Raced the Tour of Denmark many times, but hasn't won it. 4 stage wins, many podium places, but he hasn't won it. So what is he going to decide right now? Being in this group of 7 has cost energy that he might need when we arrive at the finish line here on the Kiddersvee. So what is he going to do? Jasper de Buist. I see Warren Barguil, Frank van der Broek also still in that group. Mikkel Bjerg is spotted. Quick head count, peloton around 30 riders. 33 seconds. They're not giving up. Michael Gogel here, the Austrian rider, he is 21 seconds down in the GC. The virtual leader is still Jenno Bergmoes. A good time trial yesterday for Lotto Destiny. And Jenno Bergmoes was one of these riders across the line. I think he's got about 25 top 10 places, 1 win. Maybe today is going to be the day for the 23-year-old from Ghent. He's always ever so close, but only 1 win this year for Jenno Bergmoes, and that was in the Settimana Coppi Bartali. Named after 2 of the icons of Italian bike racing pre and post Second World War, Gino Bartali and Fausto Coppi. Coppi, who of course was with the Dama Bianca, which was a huge scandal in Catholic post-war Italy. Even the Pope asked Fausto Coppi to return to his lawfully wedded wife. He did not, nor did the Dama Bianca. They had a son together. He was born in Argentina, if I recall correctly, because it was absolutely not possible to do that in Italy. We passed the town of Tortona in the first or second stage of the Tour de France this year. That was one of the homes that Fausto Coppi and the Dama Bianca, the White Lady, lived. But they were actually evicted from that home because the boss, the owner of the house, said, well, I do not want an unmarried couple in my property. Imagine that, 1940s, 1950s Italy. But I get to this Fausto Coppi story because Jenno Bergmoes there in the red of Lotto Destiny won a stage there this year, but more than 20 top 10 places already. Gap is going slightly up, the names on your screen yet again. It's an international group of riders, 2 riders from Denmark, 2 from Belgium. These are the 2 from Denmark. Anders Foldager, talented young man. He is normally a first-year pro with Team Jayco Alula. I saw him last year in action in the Giro Next Gen, where he won a stage, the final stage to Trieste. Got a good bunch kick on him. Good bit of speed there. He also won a stage in the Tour de l'Avenir. That was the opening stage, and with the team of Italy. He, not Italy, what am I saying? Denmark, of course. They also won the team time trial on this Foldager in the Tour de l'Avenir. Got snapped up by the Jayco Alula team. It's like quite a lot of work there at the front for Mikkel Bjerg, 34 seconds. 4 riders here. Four riders? 3 riders for the, no, 4 riders for the TDT Unibet team. That is rather impressive. I followed them last week in the Arctic Race of Norway. They made some really good videos. If you want a bit of fun, they were in English, and the Dutch parts or the Danish and Norwegian parts were subtitled. Really good footage of what goes inside a team, and also about the goals that they set for themselves. It's not a team who are going to win the Tour of Flanders. They have ambition to finally make it to the Tour de France. If you know a little bit of the history, they started as 3 guys, Josse Devin and the name giver Bas Titema, and did dares, challenges in the Tour de France. Then came the idea to form a cycling team, a professional cycling team. And that's what they did. This is their first year as a pro continental team, so 2nd division team. So technically, just like UnoX, for example, could get an invitation to the Tour de France, but they're not high up in the ranking just yet. So they have different goals. One of the goals in the Arctic Race of Norway was to get the mountain classification, which they did. Jelle Johanning, who is in this chasing group, the strong Dutch guy, was in the breakaway on the first 3 stages of the 4, and yeah, because they are, of course, to the Titema Unibet, they set a little bit of a challenge to Thor Hushovd, the race director of the Arctic Race of Norway, saying, well, if we catch a pretty big fish, and if we manage to get the King of the Mountains classification, will you bring back the prize of the 500 kilograms of salmon, a prize that was part of the Arctic Race of Norway up until 4 or 5 years ago? And yeah, Thor Hushovd said, I'll do that. They caught a fish. It was not as big as Hushovd said, but he said, okay, that is fine. And then they managed to get the mountain classification and the 500 kilograms of salmon with Johanning. Is this the moment that Magnus Kort is dropped? No, that might be a lapped rider that we just saw, because these are still 7 riders together. Of course, it's quite possible. This is a 10-kilometer lap, 9.7 to be exact, and you can get lapped. Of course, if you are lapped, that goes with crit races, whether that is the European Junior Cycling Tour in Assen, where I volunteer. You cannot join the group that is passing you and catch yourself a ride in the leaders group, but you do have to complete the full distance of the race. So if you're lapped here, and we just saw one of the lapped riders, you still have to do that extra lap to be able to continue tomorrow. So 4 riders for the TDT Unibet team in that first group. They've got 3 Danes on the team, so this is an important race for them. But it shows that, yeah, they're punching above their weight. And those clips that they made in the Arctic Race of Norway shows a little bit of behind the scenes and the goals that they set, like a top 10 in the GC, which they got with Landerlooks, but also race aggressively. This is one of the lapped groups there on the left-hand side. And it was particularly important last week in the Arctic Race of Norway because it was their first ASO stage race. And ASO is, of course, also the organizer of the Tour de France. So they had to show ASO that they can race aggressively, that they can be one of the teams that adds a little bit of spice to the races. And that's exactly what they did. 27 seconds. Can still go both ways. So just tell me, let me know on socials, on threads, on Twitter, what you think is going to be the outcome and who is going to win this stage. There's Rory Townsend there for the Q36.5 team and our race leader up until today. I think I spotted Arvid de Klein there as well. His teammate here, Matteo Trentin. Feeding is possible until the last time we crossed the finish line, so it's not a huge problem that the team cars cannot follow this group of 7, because the Swannies will be at the finish line for that last bottle. It's about 23 degrees. And that translates to about 74 Fahrenheit. Trust me, I don't do that from the top of my head. There's websites for these kind of things. Jenno Bergmoes, number 51, still our virtual leader. So we make our way back to Violet. Named after the local river, or the local river after the town. You never know what came first, chicken or egg. But these rivers were important in the 19th century when the cotton industry was big here. Last factory was closed in the 1990s, by the way. It's now one of these towns where people from around flock to do a little bit of shopping, have a nice bit of lunch, or watch a bike race on a Jack's calendar Thursday afternoon. Well, Jasper de Jager seems in a little bit of trouble now, as our chasing group is now closing in. It looks like everything is coming back together for that final lap. Jasper de Buist doing a lot of work there. Just checking to see if we still have Arnaud Delis in this group. Yep, there he is. Hard to miss. The two Kopechkis also in this group, one for Novo Nordisk, one for TDT Unibet. And on to the Kiddeswee again with our 7 leaders. The Jasper de Jager is in trouble. We're 220 kilometers into the stage. One of the longest stages in the history of the Tour of Denmark. The next days will be easier with 156 tomorrow. 177 on Saturday, and there is Arnaud Delis, and 165 on Sunday. There is Arnaud Delis. He is trying it again. Frank van der Broek on his wheel. It is a pretty good finish for Frank van der Broek as well. Michael Gogel, Anders Voldager, Matteo Trentin, Magnus Kort, of course. We also still have Jenno Bergmoes and Jasper de Jager now gone from that group. What a fantastic effort. We do have a Viking jersey here for the most aggressive rider. Maybe they can grant it to Jasper de Jager. But we're down to 6 riders now. Sean Flynn there, the Scot for DSM Firmenich PostNL. But look how close Arnaud Delis is at the moment. Still a few cars in between. the car has to move up right now and then do it at, yeah, the other side of the road. Not ideal, absolutely not ideal to try and overtake this group just ahead of that chicane. But Arnaud de Lee has made it across to that first group. He's also 3 seconds down in the GC, and with 10, 6 and 4 seconds on the line, that is going to be rather interesting. Final lap here in Weilen. Look at the crowds here. A beautiful day to watch a bike race. Everybody got their bucket heads, sponsored by the National Postal Services. Might be Søren Kragh Andersen there making his way across. This is a second rider coming across there for Alpecin de Koning. We can see that Michael Gogol is glancing over his shoulder. Last year, on the 15th of August, Arnaud de Lee won a bike race. That was the Tour of Leuven. That is going to be on, is it tomorrow? No, it's today. Tour of Leuven is on today. Michael Gogol dropped back to get his teammate across. The camera can focus here. Yeah, it is Søren Kragh Andersen. So 2 riders making it across to that first group. Are other riders going to take that chance? Arnaud de Lee, he's got a teammate here in Jenno Bergmoes. And Michael Gogol has just brought Søren Kragh Andersen back. And if you remember the stage wins in the Tour de France that Søren Kragh Andersen took. Yeah. That was in 2020, of course, our Tour de France in September. One of them was in Lyon, which was also not an uphill finish like we have today, but it came just after the Côte de Croix-Rousse, which is one of those hills there. And he also won in Champagnole. If you think, hey, Champagnole, I know that place. Yeah, we'll have the Tour de France Femmes start there on Saturday. I think it's Champagnole-le-Grand-Bornand on Saturday. Another big group here with Alex Edmondson crossing the line. More groups that are going to be lapped. Stern headwind here, but we're doing a lap, of course, so we'll have a tailwind as well. Looking at the wind direction going into the finish line. It's quite sheltered, as you can see, so I don't really think the wind is going to be a factor. But going out here on this lap is a headwind. Then we have a little bit of a cross tail, no, a crosswind and then a cross tail going back towards the finish line. But I don't think that's going to make a huge difference because it's rather sheltered. Jenno Bergmoes, despite the fact that he is the virtual leader here, is really going all in now for Arnaud de Lee. Last win for Søren Kragh Andersen was last year in Eschborn, Frankfurt, where he won the sprint of that first group. Matteo Trentin, of course, successful only a few weeks ago in the Tour of Wallonia. That was the stage to Herve. That's where we passed yesterday, by the way, in the Tour de France Femmes. A lot of crossover here. That was a punchy finale. That was the stage won by Matteo Trentin. Timo Kielich was the runner-up there. So Matteo Trentin obviously carries some good form. Same goes for Magnus Kort there with number 14, winning on the final day of the Arctic Race of Norway, when we went to Bordeaux, where we also had a pretty steep final kilometer, a lot steeper than this one. He is my favorite from this group, Magnus Kort. Sean Flynn, not a professional win for him just yet, an individual one. Of course, he is the winner with the team yesterday of the time trial. Michael Gogol, or as Peter Sagan used to call him on the stage, Google Maps. Not a win for the Austrian rider. Jenno Bergmoes, mentioned that before, his last win was in Italy, in Settimane Coppi Bartali. And Anders Voldager had a win also in his first year as a professional rider, and that was in the Tour of Slovakia. That was at the end of June. If you look at that finale, kind of similar to today. Anders Voldager there in the colours of the Danish national team. So, Magnus Kort, Anders Voldager, Søren Kragh Andersen, Matteo Trentin, Arnaud Delis, although the effort might be a little bit too long, but we also know that if Arnaud Delis, we saw him do that effort before, trying to contain his impulses, so to say, to bridge across to that first group. That can also be a sign that he feels fantastically well. First race back since the Tour de France, of course, did a few of these crit races, Arnaud Delis. But his first UCI stage race back, and he has got plans for the second half of the season. And why not start here in Denmark? Søren Kragh Andersen, he is of course a veteran of this race, participation number 8 for him. Michael Gogol, Sean Flynn, our first timers here in Denmark. Same goes for the man in last position, Voldager. Matteo Trentin hasn't raced here before either. Magnus Kort, hugely experienced, but his last win was 8 years ago. Peloton, or what's left of that, at 36 seconds. I think that is over. Our winner is coming from this first group of 9. And Jenno Bergmoes goes for a little bit of an attack, trying to lure the riders of Alpecin de Koning. And it's Michael Gogol who immediately reacts to that move. I hope he's not killing the legs of Arnaud Delis by this move. Søren Kragh Andersen tightening his shoes there on the wheel of Arnaud Delis with 3.8 kilometers to go. Seems like Søren Kragh Andersen has decided that that is the way to go, that is the wheel to follow. What is Sean Flynn going to do? It could be his first professional win, the 24-year-old from Scotland representing DSM-Firmenich PostNL. He could of course continue on the grand form of the team. Last week 2 stage wins in Burgos with Pavel Bittner, 2 stage wins for Charlotte Kool in the Tour de France Femmes avec Swift. There is a man on the course. Please stay in your lane. Casually racing along there in the final of a professional bike race, or why not? Denmark is a bike country after all. But it could be the first professional win for Sean Flynn there in the colours of DSM-Firmenich PostNL. What is he going to do in this group of 8 with a few big hitters there with Arnaud Delis, Matteo Trentin, Søren Kragh Andersen. Voldager also tightening his shoes. Final 3 kilometers. Jenno Bergmoes, yeah, he has to settle with his role as a helper because Arnaud De Lie is the man with the national champions jersey on his shoulder. Now they can't wait too long. Of course, this is a pretty tight corner. 38 seconds now with 2.3 kilometers to go. That seems rather impossible. Jenno Bergmoes, Arnaud De Lie, Michael Gogel, Matteo Trentin, Sean Flynn, Magnus Kort, Søren Kragh Andersen and Anders Foldager. Will the Danes get another Danish winner here in the streets of Vejle on the Kiddesweg? Søren Kragh Andersen and Arnaud De Lie, they bridged across to this group. How much did that cost? Few options here in this group. For the Danes, of course, with Søren Kragh Andersen, Magnus Kort and Anders Foldager. Both Søren Kragh Andersen and Arnaud De Lie still have a teammate here. With Michael Gogel here with number 33. And Arnaud De Lie, of course, with Jenno Bergmoes, who's currently leading this group. Matteo Trentin, he is a wily rider. He knows what to do. Søren Kragh Andersen going to the wheel of Arnaud De Lie. He's going to stay put there. Sean Flynn on the wheel of Søren Kragh Andersen. Magnus Kort, Foldager, Trentin in last wheel. Oh, that is a tricky place to be with 1.5 kilometers to go, especially since the road is going to rise at about 800 meters from the line. We have that sharp turn going onto the Kiddesweg. Looks like one rider is trying to bridge across there. Is that cramp there for Matteo Trentin? 231 kilometers is really, really a long stage that even the proest of pro riders don't do every day, or every week for that matter. Jenno Bergmoes with Arnaud De Lie. Magnus Kort moving up. He's now choosing that rear wheel. This is that final turn. 800 meters to go, and it's becoming steep. Matteo Trentin, he doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have the legs. And Arnaud De Lie is going for a really, really long sprint there. Magnus Kort is using him as a launch pad, or is he? Because Arnaud De Lie, well, he's seen this finale 3 times before, but can he hold this pace? It seems really, really long to do. It's still 500 meters to go. Magnus Kort, Anders Søren Kragh Andersen, Anders Foldager. Magnus Kort is losing the wheel. And yeah, Arnaud De Lie, he's bobbing his head in that typical style of his. It's a very courageous thing to do with 800 meters out, but it looks like he might actually do it. Magnus Kort, he tries and tries and tries. Søren Kragh Andersen in 3rd position, but Arnaud De Lie is just going to pull this off. Bridging across to that breakaway and then that really, really long sprint. Magnus Kort is not giving up just yet. He's not giving up just yet. And Arnaud De Lie seems to be blowing up right now. Magnus Kort gets to that rear wheel of Arnaud De Lie, who is completely exploding. And Magnus Kort is going for his first stage win in the Tour of Denmark since 2016. It was too far out for Arnaud De Lie. It was hugely ambitious on this finale here in Vejle to do that. He does have the leader's jersey, although they are going to be in the same time. So then we are going to have to look at the tenths of seconds. Quick. Arnaud De Lie has got a 72. And Magnus Kort has got a 94, so Arnaud De Lie is going to be the race leader. Please forgive me if I'm wrong, but it was so ambitious to go with 800 meters to go here on the Kiddesweg, and he was exploding. And Magnus Kort wins his first stage here since 2016, his 5th in total. Oh, he of course has got the leader's jersey because there's a little gap between them. And that is the second that he needs. If the jury is going to give that second, and they might, he's got the leader's jersey as well. On bonus seconds, they would be equal. But I do think the jury is going to give him that second. We'll have to wait for confirmation, but he's given everything. Yeah, they are giving him that second, Magnus Cort. So he's got the GC as well. He is leading. He took that fantastic form from the Arctic Race of Norway. But yet again, the Kiddeswey here in violet delivers. Kort Nielsen, De Lie, Voldage, Søren Kragh Andersen, Bergmoes. Van der Broek was actually the rider bridging across, so that is a good setup there for his GC, quite possibly. Gogol, Trentin, Flynn and Mikkel Bjerg in 10th place. We'll get confirmation soon as we look at one of the fine pieces of Scandinavian architecture here. We'll wait for confirmation, but I think it's Tappa Emalia for Magnus Cort. What an effort there by the Danish champion. He's 31. He's got 2 more years on his contract with Uno-X Mobility. And this is going to be his a little bit of a debrief there between Arnaud De Lie and Magnus Cort, all in good sportsmanship. In 2013 and in 2016, he already won stages. But 8 years later, he does it again, and Magnus Cort. Now this is testament that you never, ever give up. Because in that final, what is it, 150 meters, 100 meters, Arnaud De Lie completely exploded. And there's a clear gap between them, so he's got the leader's jersey as well. Nali here of the final meters here with Florian Vermeers. The CH at the end of Vermeers or Ras or whatever, completely silent, just ignore them. It's an S, Florian Vermeers. Well, this was a rather exciting stage with our breakaway of 7 riders. We had crashes, we had flat tires, we had riders disappearing off the side of the road. We had a little bit of echelons and we had a spectacular final kilometer. Tomorrow we go to Haddesley with a similar finale, a similar circuit. Magnus Kort, Arnaud Delis, Søren Kragh. They are in the same time here. Anders Voldager, Gogol, Flynn, Bergmoes, Trentin, Van den Broek and Jelle Johanning. There he is again. What a fantastic guy. Yeah, they were mentioned in the same time. They didn't give that second, so Arnaud Delis takes it with a difference of a few hundredths of a second, because it's the hundreds of seconds in the time trial now that count. And yeah, Arnaud Delis takes the leader's jersey.